Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor John York. I am your instructor for Business 310, which I consider to be probably one of my favorite classes. This is going to be actually my third time teaching it, and I'm really excited about this class. As I start this class, I want you to take a step back and ask yourself the question, and any good venture starts, is everything starts with a why. So why is this class important? Well, let me give you a few quotes from your previous classmates who've gone through this class. Some have thought it had been a great introduction to business, especially for a non-business person. Some were able to use the business model Canvas framework. Some found it to be fun. Some have a foundation to build their own business. And because of this class, some have moved from just being a computer science person to wanting to go into sales and marketing and commercial side. He even had a local startup, which was a Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, hothouse grad, said, I wish I had this class when I was starting my business. So why are we here? Why here is because it's what's in it for you as not only a student, but also an aspiring entrepreneur. Some of you may want to start a business or a social venture. I actually have a social venture down in Santiago, Chile that I work as a commercial consultant to. Some may want to learn something new, especially if you're coming from the non-business side, and gain some marketable skills, both in terms of your ability to present, but also in your teamwork ability. Talking about presentation, I'm going to try to get you started to think about storytelling, which is very key, especially when you're trying to articulate your value proposition. Some of you want to start a business because you want to make some money. At the end of the day, it's what's in it for you is what's important here, and that's why we're here. And why we're trying to accomplish. Now, wow, there's a lot of real skills to the real world, and what we want to do, the bottom line is develop a number of entrepreneurial skills, starting from identifying sources and problems to creating a value proposition, to developing a business model canvas, to evaluating the competitive landscape that your investors are going to want to know, especially in terms of how you differentiate yourself, and then doing customer development in terms of interviewing. And likewise, when you start a business, you need to understand the economics in terms of revenue model versus a cost structure. And then getting into, okay, now that I understand the customer needs of developing a minimal viable product. No, it's not about the product, which so many folks think. I got the product, now let's make it fit. No, it's about customer need, and then developing a minimal viable product to develop and test. And then some team skills, which are going to be very critical whether you are an entrepreneur, which investors will look at, or if you're going to go into corporate. We talked about presentation skills already, and building a case to gather resources, which is summarized in a good business pitch. The course will follow two phases. One, we're going to set a foundation. It's going to be a little bit more, I'm going to say, a combination of didactic as well as exercises that will allow you to have those fundamental skills to go into really building out a successful idea, which will be the back half of the course, where you will get out of the building, you'll talk to customers, you'll develop a minimal viable product. A little bit more granular view in terms of our next 10 weeks will be up front. We will develop teams, identify a domain, a problem domain. We'll work through foundational content, and then probably at the fourth week, we'll be dealing with what we call a real startup assessment. During this time, you'll start building your business model canvas out, and you'll then move into customer discovery, where you'll get out of the building. And I've taught you about asking good questions and developing a good interview. And that'll help you refine your business model canvas, your value proposition, and ultimately in terms of how you should develop your minimal viable product and go out and test it. And naturally, you're going to present. I think we have at least a minimum of 4 or 5 presentations in this class, including your final recap of your journey. PolyLearn will be your home central. I have an overview section that's there. So you get my contact information, some other course information. Notable is also I do like a lot of announcements just to keep you posted on changes that are happening in PolyLearn, grading, assignment due dates, or if I have multiple questions coming in from students, I will then put a class announcement. I do have in the syllabus your schedule and your deliverable dates, but this may vary. So look at the 2-week schedule, because I will post the schedule every 2 weeks, and that will be what will drive ultimately your deliverables. And we do have occasionally, as happens in businesses, there are changes and you have to pivot. And then there's some other important sections, such as videos that you'll need to view, quizzes to take, and then various assignments. You will learn using key tools. 2 of the most important will be a value proposition canvas, which you see on the right, and on the left-hand side you'll have the business model canvas. I'll get into that in more detail later on. You'll get to know this gentleman very well. His name is Steve Blank. He is really one of the forefathers of the lean startup movement. He's written several books on the topic. He is been really the architect to the curricula for the National Science Foundation in terms of the I-Corps program. He is a adjunct faculty at Stanford, Berkeley, and Columbia. The Udacity has a free course which we will be using, so my action recommendation is sign up immediately, because you'll have videos. I think there's about 7 or 8 that you'll have to view, and tied to those videos will be quizzes, and those quizzes have due dates when they are closed. I also will supplement in terms of lecture 2, either live or on video from my YouTube channel. Okay, it'll deal with the value proposition, the team concepts, the business model canvas, and I broke them out into the value side of the canvas versus the operational side. We'll spend time talking about interviewing and doing proper interviews. And then we'll talk about the marketing funnel. This is a concept I use in Business 454, but it's something that I find many times in terms of really building customer relationships on the value side that a lot of folks miss. We'll talk about intellectual property to protect your ideas, developing a minimal viable product and testing it, and levers of innovation. But the bulk of the work will be done by you and your teammates, in class, out of class, doing research in the field, engaging customers, and using the library for market research. So how can I be successful? 1, know what you're going to be graded on. Individually, it's about 45%. As you can see, varies from quizzes to class participation, which I take very, very seriously. So you need to stay on top of materials, because if you are not participating, then you're graded accordingly. And participating means that you're knowledgeable of the outside material, you're asking questions, you're paying attention, you're being respectful. Peer assessments are also very, very critical. Both at the midterm, but also at the final CATME evaluation. I've seen students who moved from A's to B's because of peer assessment. There's an initial assignment called the painful interview in the first week, and then a midterm team assessment. But more of the weight will be placed on your team efforts. And early on, you'll have deliverables such as your charter and agreement. You'll have 4 briefs that you'll need to do. You'll have a real startup presentation, which I rest assured will be a tough presentation. You'll have business model canvases, 6 of them that will be worth 10%. And then you'll have 2 MVP presentations worth 10, and your final presentation, which is really the culmination of everything, will be worth 15%. So as I mentioned, class participation is key. So be there in class. Be on time. Sign in. Be engaged. Focused and respectful. If you have a reason to be out of class, you need to communicate beforehand. If you're sick, you have a university obligation, such as a sports event or a club activity that you've now gotten a waiver to get, you need to make sure I get that information beforehand. Take your teamwork seriously. Okay? Number of things. Share. Be prepared. Be inclusive. This is very key. I've seen in other classes where we've had clicks form, and as a result, you see it in the final evaluations of the individuals in the academy and the team. Be respectful. Bridge differences. You're going to have a lot of passionate people and strong ideas. The key is, how do you bridge those differences and work together as a team? And at the end of the day, since you're going to have a lot of demanding activities, you need to pull together so you can perform. And keep in mind your deliverables. They need to be on time. They need to be labeled properly. They need to be emailed to me by the same point person. It needs to be formatted. That's labeled both on the external file label as well as your internal labeling as well. I'm a fan of Microsoft Documents, and I'm not a big fan of Google Docs. I know a lot of you like to use Google Docs, but I want things in Microsoft Documents to review. I will only accept a PDF if your Google Doc is, like in a PowerPoint, totally thrown off, because I know that that happens. But in your presentations, what will happen is that if you try to present off a PDF, you'll find that you will run into terrible results. And make sure that your deliverables are professional. And it's because I grade both on form and content. Focus on your presentations. You'll have 4 through the class. We'll build essential skills for startup success. Your ability to be able to command the platform will translate to your ability to be able to deliver a very effective venture pitch. Remember, it's what and how you present it, not what you know. So form, delivery, and content. So pay attention to the rubric. I publish it 5 to 7 days beforehand. Understand what is being judged. I've had students miss items and then end as a result be graded down, losing anywhere from a half a grade to a full grade because they didn't pay attention to the rubric. Address the client's job to be done or the customer's job to be done. Anticipate questions and issues. Remember, this is about 35% of your grade. Other items to keep in mind from the syllabus is be ethical. Don't make stuff up. I've had students try to make up interviews. I can tell. Okay, do not plagiarize. We can tell. We have software that can read stuff. We've run into these issues. Own your own work. The only person you're cheating yourself is yourself. These are good work habits to take into the workplace. And if you have to withdraw from class, be mindful of the deadline. Make sure you communicate and complete the paperwork. I actually had a student who didn't do this a year ago, and unfortunately this individual had to receive an F. So, are you ready? Okay? I certainly hope you are. I'm very excited about this class. I know that this is a very popular class on campus. We have 6 sections of it. It's a great introduction to those who are non-business people. For those who are business majors, it's a great way to start pulling things together. This is a learn by doing class. Be ready to hit the ground running on Monday the 3rd. And just a little background on your professor. Okay? I bring a practice view of the classroom. I run a consulting business. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been 30 years in the business world. I've owned my own firm for 14 years. I've started 3 businesses. I am a National Science Foundation Innovation Corps mentor, as well as a Blue 6 at the medical school. They have a program, Blue 6, at UC San Diego, that is patterned after the Stanford Design Workshop. That is very well known for bioscience startup. I am the commercial chief for a startup in Santiago, Chile. And I do have degrees from a few schools over in the Midwest, such as University of Michigan, Kelley School of Business, and Cal Berkeley. I have a certificate in life science business management. This is my 4th class at Cal Poly, and I'm excited about it. My email is jyork@calpoly.edu. Feel free to contact me anytime on that. Also I do have office hours from 10 to 12 on Mondays, but I would suggest you email me ahead of time so I know you'll be coming to the office so I can be there. With that said, if there's questions, let's talk in class or individually. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and working with you guys on a really fun and exciting class where you're going to learn a lot. And for all you know, you might change. It may be, I hate to say it, it may be a game changer for you, to whether it's starting a business or changing and pivoting in terms of where you're going to take your career. Thanks for your time and have a great week.